Friends, today I am showing Mr. standing here to deliver a speech and tell you something about the Air Force and the working of its engine. Behind me there is a flag of Indian Air Force that is being recently included in 8th of October in the Air Force Day. This is the flag. If you see what are the changes, earlier this section was not there. It is the crest of Indian Air Force. If I tell you about the crest, at the top of the crest, this is a national emblem. This portion. In the national emblem, we have written Satmev Jayate, which has been came from the Sanskrit or the Devanagari language. Above it are the 4 lions. Below it, we have an eagle, which is an Himalayan eagle, which is flag wings open, which represent as a symbol of power. Thirdly, if I see there is a like a concentric circle in which it is written Bharatiya Vayu Sena in Hindi language of Indian Air Force. Nav Sparsham Deeptam. And it is the motto of Indian Air Force, which is written Nav Sparsham Deeptam in English, which means touch the sky with glory. This is a roundel of a tricolor, which is being at the right bottom corner. At the top left corner is the Indian Air Force, is the Indian flag. This is a new flag which is being introduced. If I ask you a question about the air show which is being introduced in the Allahabad, what was the theme of the Air Force? Yeah, the person sitting at the right corner is answering correct. It was the theme was the air power beyond boundaries. So it was a very good theme. Like he has rightly guessed the theme. If I talk you about the next slide, we will come across the ranks. I think the ranks are very important section if one goes in the SSB interview. Because if we compare the ranks of Navy, Air Force and Army, then in the interview often they ask the rank, the equivalent rank. Not only this, they also ask the rank in the descending order. Because we have a habit of learning the ranks from lieutenant to general. It is easy to answer. But they will tell you to answer the rank from general to lieutenant. And not only this rank, they also ask you about the non-commissioned ranks. So the comparing of the ranks is important because they can ask you about what is the rank of brigadier equivalent to Air Force or what is the rank of lieutenant general equivalent to Navy. So these are the very common questions that are being asked in the interview. So it might help you in the upcoming SSBs. This was the crescent I am talking about. Nav Sparsham Deeptam as the motto of the Indian Air Force, as I mentioned you. It is meaning touching the sky with glory, which has been taken from the Gita. And this from crest you can clearly see it is being introduced in the new flag. Now let's come to the main topic, the jet engine. Jet engine, we know, are the main component for any plane. We see that in many planes this is a jet engine which is being made. If you might tell you about the marking and all, see this is the wings. These are the wings and this is the cover. Suppose if a plane is flying in the air, then the winds come from here in this way. So the movement of the fan decides the flow of a wind, and that's why the cover is being made. Suppose if any eagle or if any bird comes in front of it, then it might stop from entering. And below this, if you see the internal portion of it, we can see this. This is the inside structure that I have shown you. It was the front portion. And this is the inside structure. The wind comes from this way, enters here, and from this portion, this is the exit. Here the thrust is being created. This thrust helps the plane to move forward. And what the question may arise in your mind, that what is this diagram? In this diagram, we can see that the wind flow is being like opposed. They have the flaps which are being opened. When the flaps are opened, then wind comes inside the engine, but it goes in the opposite direction, which helps the plane to stop while landing. When the wind enters there, then flaps are opening. The opening of the flap will divert the wind direction in the opposite direction. So automatically the speed of a plane will slow down. And when the speed of plane will slow down, then at the time of landing, it might help him. If I talk you the deeper about this section, we can see this. This is a clear representation of engine. Many questions might arise in your mind, but by my explanation, I will ensure that all the explanation will be cleared. Let me take a marker, then I will explain you. See, this was the entry point which I have shown you in the first slide. In the second slide, I have showed you how the air movement comes this way, enters there, and then goes in this outward direction. This is the movement of air. This was the ignition point. These are called the ignition points. When the wind comes, then the fuel is being introduced from this section. So the combination of wind and fuel causes a fire. This fire transfers air, and with the help of turbine, the thrust is being created. This thrust helps the plane to move forward. This is a combustion chamber in which the main role of the combustion chamber is to suck the air, and this is the turbine. The combustion chamber in turbine is being connected by a circular portion which is called a shaft. This rod is a shaft. Its main role is to suck the air from this section like this way and transfer the air this way, so that a movement of turbine in combustion might take place. When this movement takes place, then the proper working of engine starts. See, we can see clearly, it is a compression section. This is a combustion where the fuel and the wind is being meeting. This is the turbine section. The turbine, what is the role of turbine? The question might come in your mind. The turbine role is to help in the movement of combustion chamber, because engine works only when the combustion chamber starts. But how the combustion chamber start? It does not have any a magic in it. The turbine helps the started movement. Due to this movement, the rod shaft which connects the combustion chamber also moves, and automatically the engine starts. And this is the nozzle. Nozzle, we can see that if I want to tell you the example of nozzle, a very good example is balloon. We see this is a balloon. So when the air comes out of the balloon this way at a very high rate, then we see balloon going in the zigzag way. So this zigzag way helps the balloon to move forward. Same things happen in this engine. This is a nozzle, the very less opening. So when the air goes out at a very high speed, then it causes the engine to move forward. Now what you can say that like the balloon, why does not plane fly like zigzag? It is only because of the size of the wings and the aerodynamics, the flaps which is being connected, that gives the plane a proper direction. If I tell you forward about it, we can see this. This was a representation of engine that I mentioned you. This was the engine in which I mentioned you about how the engine works. This was the entry point from where wind comes. This was the compression chamber. This was the shaft which connects the compression engine with the turbine. And this was the exit point like a balloon. There are the ignition point where the fuel comes, and the mixing of the air plus fuel causes the burning. Now a question might arise, what is this and this? If anyone wants to answer, yeah, you are guessing it right. This is a turbojet engine. If I write here, this is a ramjet engine. What is the role of ramjet? These engines are placed before the turbojet, and this is the scramjet. Now you can ask that what is the role of ramjet and scramjet. These engines are placed before the turbo engine. Like you can't use this alone. B section plus A section gives you a higher speed. In the similar way, if you will place instead of B, you will place the C section, then it will be called an hypersonic. In the missiles, you might have seen the hypersonic section where the outward flow of this wave we can see. This is only because of the scramjet engine. What the scramjet do? We know the power of air. The quantity of air will be flowed, the same thrust will be developed. So this we can see the conical shape. This allows the air to move forward in a high rate, and this is a very less opening. So the air flows in a very high rate. So when the air goes out, and then further it continues in this section. So the quantity of air that goes inside helps the plane to gain its speed. In the same way it is in the ramjet engine, but you can see the length of conical section is less. So that's why it is called ramjet and it is called scramjet. If I move forward, we can see this, how the planes fly. If we see in this section, These are the flaps. This. These flaps are very important. This is the tail flap. To fly a plane, these flaps and tail flaps are very important because these helps to maintain a proper aerodynamics. If we see, there is a very famous force we all know, centripetal force, the force which acts towards the center. So the same role plays in the flap section. We can also see the flap design. If I mention to you this, suppose a design of a flap, this. So the movement of air is this way. There is a pressure difference. How you can see the pressure difference? At the above, the speed of wind is very high. S1, S2. So we see that S1 is greater than S2. So there will be a pressure difference. When the pressure difference happens, then it causes the plane to lift upward. So the upward force which causes due to the difference in the pressure is the main reason why the plane flies. If I tell you more specific about it, there is a one aerodynamic we can see. At the front, there is a thrust. To counter the thrust, there is the opposite force which is called the drag force, which is at the back. So we know that in 180 degree, these are in 180 degree. So this balances each other. In the same way, in the left-right section, the upward portion is lift, and the downward portion is gravity. So by these four forces, thrust, drag, lift and gravity, the plane balances its aerodynamic. Now a question might arise, what is the role of this? If anyone wants to answer, he or she can. Yeah, your guess is correct. Yeah, sure. I have told you earlier about the turbine. The turbine movement helps in the movement of combustion, and then only engine starts. But how will the turbine start? There is no battery there. So this is the third engine. Suppose if this plane we can see, this is the engine number 1, this is engine number 2. So this is the engine number 3. The role of engine number 3 is to operate the working of turbine. When the turbine will start working, then only the combustion chamber and the engine will start work. So in every plane we can see, beside engines, these engines is also there. The role of it is just to initiate the working of turbine. And there might be a question arise in your mind that suppose if in the air any bird or there is an engine failure, then what happens? So to answer this we can see, suppose if a plane is flying this way, then if it goes down by 1 kilometer, then it moves forward by 30 kilometer. So 1:3 is the ratio of plane. That's why the plane is being flied at a very high height, like more than in the stratosphere. So even though there is an engine failure, the plane, if it moves 1 kilometer, then it goes downward, then 30 kilometers will go forward. So it will be very easy for pilot to land it anywhere. So this is the advantage of flying the plane at a very high rate. There is also one more question might arise. Suppose the engine failure is there. By this thing, you can save the plane from crashing. But what will be the electricity? So in many planes you might have seen that there is a fan like this. From the front you can see this is called as rad. At the bottom it is there, rad, which is its name is rad. What is the role of rad? Rad role is the people, the pilot, those who are sitting in the cockpit. If suppose all the engine fails, rad role is to give electricity so that the proper working of machines might initiate in the cockpit. So suppose if all these two engines fail, this is a complementary engine, so it is of no use. So this plane, which is known as rad section, this will start working, and by this flow it will help the cockpit to get the electricity, because if cockpit will only know light will be there, then how they will operate. So this was the working of the plane which I have mentioned you. If any question you want to ask, you can answer. You can ask to me. Yeah, it is about to end only. The last slide is left, in which these are some facts. Indian Air Force is the only Air Force which uses IL-76, C-130 Hercules and C-117 Globemaster. No other Air Force in the world uses all the three these transport planes. You all know about the Garud Commandos. These are the special unit forces of the Indian Force. These are the commands of Indian Air Force. The commands are very important. These are the most frequently asked questions in the interview. They might ask you about tell me the command of Indian Air Force. So if you talk about the Western Command is in Delhi. Southern Western Command is in Gandhinagar. Central Command is in Allahabad, which is also known as Prayagraj. Eastern Command is in Shillong. Southern Western Command is in Thiruvananthapuram. So these are the 5 commands of Indian Air Force. So what about these 2? These are complementary. Like Training Command. Training Command is in Bangalore and Maintenance Command is in Nagpur. So these are the main commands. These are just to support the above 5 commands. Our only like Arjun Singh, we all knew him, and Nirmaljeet Singh Sekho, so it was ending. I hope you might have understand how the plane works and how the working of the jet engine initiates and how the plane flies with its proper aerodynamic and with by like having a proper shape of the plane. Thank you.